So first thing I do before I go out on track is I check my cell temperatures. And to do this, I am using an app called Scan My Tesla. And this uses a special little harness that we put under the seat attached to a Bluetooth OBD2 device. And then we can monitor our cell temperatures. Typically I want to be about 90 degrees Fahrenheit before going out. That gives me the most amount of run time I can get. So yeah, I want to get that nice and low. One way to do that is put the car in track mode well before the session, so it starts cooling it down. You'll want to do this, right after charging. It'll start, to cool it down right after that if you put it in track mode. My car is also outfitted with a module from Mountain Pass Performance that lets me cool the car down while it's charging. But it's not absolutely necessary if you have a performance model and can enter track mode. So what we're going to do right now is go into track mode, and I can show you a little bit about the settings I use and how to start the lap timers. Okay, so to go into track mode, we're going to go into our menu here, go to pedals and steering, and then in track mode. And now I've already been on Button Willow today, so you can see that it pulls that up right away. But if you haven't been on a track, it'll not have this on here. You'll have to click on the screen and put a start finish line there so that you can actually hit start. If you don't do this, you won't save any footage on the USB drive, and it won't save your lap times. So you just have to click somewhere on the track and put the checkered flag there. In our case, our checkered is right here. You can see the start finish line, so we just want to put it on the track, and then you hit start, and the first time you go across that checkered, it starts the lap timer. It starts recording the video, and then you can look at that later and analyze anything you want to. So one of the things you want to keep an eye on while you're out on track is your battery color and the rear drive unit color. The front motor doesn't usually have any issues with thermals, but as soon as your pack starts to get yellowish and then eventually red, you will lose power. It will throttle the car just to keep everything safe. It keeps the battery from melting down, basically. So that's why we want our temperature over here to be as little as possible when we go out there, so we have as much headroom to get our laps in as we can. So one of the cool things about track mode is that you can actually customize a lot of the settings. So you can go into customize, and you can see that there's several things you can change. The handling balance. This is basically how much power the car puts to the rear wheels when you're coming out of a corner. Also affects how much the regenerative braking is balanced between the front and the rear. And you can actually see that if you click on the little info, it tells you what it does here. So that can affect how much the car understeers or oversteers coming out of a corner, and also braking into a corner. The stability assist is basically how much the traction control interrupts you when you're trying to power out of a corner. Even at -10, the car will still try to limit the power if the steering wheel is turned significantly. So if you're used to having no traction control on a performance car, this won't be that. It will still try to prevent you from spinning the tires. And if you're new to driving these cars, you should probably start with this, at 0 or maybe even higher, and then dial it down as you get more comfortable. Now with the regenerative braking, this is something that you should probably leave at 100% unless you've upgraded your brakes. This will just keep you a lot safer. It will introduce more heat into the battery and the motors, but that's the price you're gonna have to pay until you get better brakes. And then once you're more comfortable with the brake system, you can start to dial it down. I personally have an AP Racing big brake kit on this car, and I still run 20% because it is helpful with trail braking. It gives me just a little bit of trail braking automatically. And it gives me a little bit of power back in the battery. This isn't on all models of the Tesla Model 3. I believe new generation do not have the compressor overclock option. It just is what it is. On this car, we have a compressor overclock. We just want it to be as cool as possible, so we're gonna have that on. The post-drive cooling is gonna cool the car after we get off track, once it's got really hot. And then lastly here we have the save dash cam for laps. If you set the checkered flag on the main screen and you hit start, that will save the lap footage to your thumb drive. It will also save a CSV file containing a bunch of the car's telematics. So you get stuff like power output, brake pressure, there's some various other things. I believe your tire pressure is recorded in there. A bunch of useful information if you really want to dive into it. So it's worth doing if you have a performance model. This concludes our introduction to track mode. Hopefully this provides you all with a better understanding of what track mode is capable of and how you can make sure your Tesla is performing optimally out there on track. Be sure to check out our track prep and track specific upgrade videos. And as always, please like, subscribe, and share, and consider joining our Patreon. Thanks for watching.